EIPM. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today. We've got quite a broad audience together today. We've got people from China, India, Turkey, Israel. We also have people from certain European countries. So that's really nice. And this afternoon we'll get more from Americas and Brazil and Argentina. So always good to see a lot of interest for these leading topics that are important for all of us to get acquainted to, because they will impact the structure of industry. Talking about industry, it's also interesting to see we've got quite a number of participants from the telecom, the engineering, industrial, food, steel, logistics industries around together with us. And let's get started. So really glad to have you here. Really, the objective of this session is to start to look into the future, trying to understand, how this fourth industrial revolution, how this major transformation in terms of industry structures that's supported by the Internet of Things is going to impact our work from a purchasing standpoint. And I think we've only started to see some of the early stage of this impact, and we should expect to some further impact over the next 15 to 20 years, and there will be some ripple effect all across, and some true tectonic changes taking place. During the webinar, don't hesitate to share some question as you go. Very happy to try to answer any of the questions. So there is the chat that you will find at the bottom left of your screen, and if you want to see in full screen the slides, then you can click on the top right here, and that can help you to have the full picture. In the waiting room, you were able to download the slides, so this is something that you should already have. If not, we can of course send them to you after the session. Don't hesitate to ask us. That will be very easy for us to do so. Just very quick few words about who we are at EIPM. We are a pure player in terms of education, so we have a global footprint. We are really focused on the topic of purchasing, procurement, sourcing, and to some extent supply chain management. We are present everywhere in the world where our clients operate. So we've got offices in China, in India, in Poland. We've got also activities in Brazil and Mexico. We focus on developing our pedagogical expertise in maintaining strong relationship with our clients in order to stick to their needs and really be able to accompany them, not just in terms of educating people, but supporting changes in organization. And we're also a research-driven organization in the sense that we really try to be on the forefront of the transformation that are taking place within industries and on their impact in terms of purchasing activities. And I think this is very much one of the output of our research activities. We've been celebrating 25 years last year, so 26 now, and every year we train about 4,000 professionals, going from our executive MBA to people taking a 2-day class as part of in-company programs, delivering courses in 9 languages across our different campus and branches. Really, what what I would like to offer you today is probably to learn more about the Internet of Things. This is one of the catchphrase. So I'm not going to go into some of the technical aspects of the Internet of Things. This is not really my specialty, but spending quite some time over the past 2 years understanding more their implication in terms of industry architectures, industry structures, and how this is going to have some impact on the purchasing. This will lead us to rethink somehow our organizational model, how we work in the purchasing function. So we'll finish on this. And really the main objective of the session is to reflect on the current business transformation. And again, feel free to send any questions whenever you want. How we got here in terms of putting together the content that you will see. Well, actually, we started back in 2015, so exactly 2 years ago, where we said, well, this is certainly a time where we need to start to look into the Industry 4.0, the Internet of Things, and how this will be impacting the purchasing function. So we started by running a number of interviews with CPO and thought leaders of the Internet of Things development, trying to really understand the landscape and what's happening. Then we gathered 120 individuals during the 2015 EIPM conference, and we've been working on understanding how this will impact our industries, how this will impact our way of doing purchasing. In 2016, we wanted to do more deep dive on the topic, so we've been running a number of case studies, interviews, and we had a workshop to bring some practitioners to develop what we call the IoT purchasing toolbox. And we keep going in this direction through some academic collaboration and further integration into our curriculum, our courses of these topics. Still gathering some case studies with some companies with whom we're in regular contact. So if you're interested to read more on the topic, we've published end of last year the special edition of the Value Creation Observatory, which is about the Internet of Things and the impact on the purchasing business model. So quite some content that you will be finding here today is actually coming from this document, but we've also enriched it from some case studies and other elements that that bring some very practical dimension to it. We'll be also sharing some element coming from a sort of toolbox we've put together to be shared in some of our workshops and training session. But I'll take you through this. And further, a next webinar will be on ecosystems, and part of the toolbox is about ecosystems, because we need to think in ecosystems as part of this IoT transformation. So the agenda I'm offering to you is really simple, starting from what does the Internet of Things mean, what's behind these words, trying to illustrate that through a number of examples. What will be its impact on purchasing, and here I will really start at how it will affect how we operate, our processes, our ways of working. So some practical aspects here. Then I'd like to take you through a number of case studies. Some are very basic, simple kind of Internet of Things type of project. Other are more advanced, but I think it's that diversity that can help us to start understanding, how the purchasing landscape is changing in the current context. And, this will lead us automatically to looking how we can embrace these changes. And I think they are significant. And, there's a lot of opportunities for purchasing to take a leading position in this transformation. However, this will really mean, some very strong changes to be implemented as part of our ways of working. So, what does it mean, the Internet of Things? So the first element is, it's not like an independent, trend from others. We had a session, a webinar on some of the major trends, and they're not independent of each other. They connect together. What we see is it's connected to the global move from looking at the world as a series of value chains, like a sequential value chains, to broader ecosystems with people coming from industries working together. So there's clear connection to these elements. Another major trend we see everywhere in terms of B2C, but increasingly in B2B, is the personalization of everything. And the Internet of Things is quite a strong enabler of this personalization. Open innovation. Today, innovation is no more solely coming from the R&D team or the internal innovation team. This is something that's built across a number of companies and other organizations, such as universities, and this is done, both with large industrial partners, but also with some startups and some new companies, which is also another a major trend these days. It's the rising role of startups, and we've just published a new observatory on the topic of partnering with startups, which also connects in many ways to these topics, and can share some example at some point. And also the sustainability, moving more toward creating shared value, having positive impact in terms of both the economic, environmental, and social aspects, will be supported by the Internet of Things, because this is offering very interesting ways of tracing things and monitoring things and connecting things together that will enable some new business model in terms of the sustainability aspects and the circular economy. Some people use that terminology. So sometimes it's difficult to distinguish the Internet of Things from some of the broader trends and broader application. However, we'll really try to stick to the Internet of Things. And what is it? Is simply, there is, for quite some years, there is a physical world, the world of things, the world of devices, the world of objects, the world of equipment, the world of machines, the world of raw materials and all these things. And there is a digital world, and these two worlds, have not yet been fully integrated. They've been developing in parallel, and what we see about the Internet of Things is, these two worlds coming together, and more objects, not just humans, will be connected together through the internet. And it's not just about these objects talking to each other, connecting to each other, but this will really be a sort of a connection where 1 + 1 will equal 11. It won't just be about simple connection, but it will be a reinvention of a lot of economic model, a lot of business model, a lot of industry structures. So it's not just additioning two dimensions, but it's also recombining things in creative ways and finding new ways of gaining competitive advantage that this will be bringing to the forefront of the competitive arena. So if we could see that as very much as a technology issue, at the end of the day, this is a major economic transformation. That's why we often call that the fourth industrial revolution. I'm not going to go through some of the application of the Internet of Things to a broad extent, but we've started to see them appearing here and there. If we think in terms of health and personal care, what we'll see is a lot of development in terms of wearables and diagnostic tool that will be ingested by us or on us in order to understand our fundamentals in terms of health, but it will be also about beauty, about fitness, about wellness, about our productivity. On the health aspects, hospitals will be a major place where we will see the Internet of Things, coming to the forefront and connecting innovation devices together to create, the best possible environment in order to get us in the best possible health. Personalized medicine will be extensively supported, and we see a lot of experimentation these days around that. We've been talking about domotics and connected buildings already for many, many years, and this is only something that's further developing with more differentiation in the application. If you go to a bank, or now if you go to an hotel, or if you go to an office building, some of the possibilities have been demultiplied and increasing and specializing, and the options of connecting things for buildings and offices, are going to continue to flourish in the coming years. The world of retail will be, fully transformed. People don't just go to different channels; they go to, one experience of what is shopping. So we'll see some, personalization, enhanced customer experience, more vending machines with which we will be connecting. Packaging will become smart, and we'll be able to, transmit some information, interact with us, and we'll see some of the new payment solutions coming into play, and all that will be connected to some, CRM uh, uh, systems. So data will be gathered, and new business model will appear out of that. Factories will become smarter and smarter. There will be more automation. We'll gain some efficiencies. There will be much more of a remote operation. Some sites where you used to see quite a lot of people will be controlled from a remote places. There will be more and more artificial intelligence and analytics that will be supporting predictive maintenance. This will support the implementation of a circular model in terms of, reusing and any kind of a sustainability aspects, and training will be supported by virtual reality stuff and interacting with both the virtual and the real world. So quite a lot of application in this field. Vehicles, we've heard a lot recently about connected vehicles, enhanced maintenance, autonomous driving. The car is going to become the fifth screen, where we'll be able to access a lot of information as we drive, in terms of information along the road, either for tourism, for shopping, for many other things. We've started to see that happen in some countries. Of course, there'll be also security applications and tracking of stolen vehicles, for instance, in this area. We've heard of smart cities for quite some time, and we've heard of any development with smart grids for the utility companies. So this is only the starting point. It's islands of connected devices together, but as we progress, we will see more and more of this connecting even further together and building some pools of data and activities that will become new foundations for new business model and new activities. So we'll see more and more traffic enhancement. The classic lighting will become more smart with detectors, with Wi-Fi rechargers, and play a key role in terms of transmitting some information and monitoring risk all around. And logistics, we'll see more and more tracking, temperature control, real-time routing. When a boat will arrive close to a port, there will be some synchronization of activities that will be taking place. So there is, the time will be reduced in order to, to do what needs to be done at a certain harbor. Warehouse will be increasingly automated and connected to the broader information system that will connect everything through the cloud and other types of networks. And many industries have already started some of their journey in some ways: aerospace, defense, but also smart farming with a smart farming, and some of the mining. Seeing some questions. Oh yes, could you please send the slides to all participants after the webinar? Yes, we'll do this. Also, I think if we want to have a a first early picture, it's important to understand that all this will be connecting with other technology. What's allowing the development of the Internet of Things is we've got smaller, cheaper device that consume less energy that becomes available. And all these devices allow us to, gather the data, act upon the data, share the data across different industries, different activities. But artificial intelligence, analytics, blockchains, additive manufacturing will only be adding opportunities and possibilities across. So really that was just to to share with you the idea that this is already starting, and we've already started to hear quite a lot about some of the application, but probably there is much more to happen in the future, because we've only seen the start of it. I think it'd be important to share a little bit with you what's the Internet of Things architecture. So at the bottom of that, that's where you find the hardware. That's where you find equipments. That's where you find, pieces of parts and packaging and, any kind of hardware. And we can add sensors and actuators. Sensors are here to capture some of the data that can afterward be transmitted through a network. And also actuators can be used, to do something based on some information coming through the network. On top of that, we've got some networks that can connect these objects together, and we immediately think of the classic Wi-Fi, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G type of network. But there's also other types of network that can help connect objects that are in very different places. So for instance, if you look at the canals in Rotterdam, they're not, there is always a risk of the flood in these canals, and monitoring the level of the canals was a lot of work of people going and gathering some information by just going along the canal. And today there's devices that can allow to get some information about the level of the water in the different parts of the canal, and put that data together into some predictive model in terms of what's going to be happening. And here it's not going through the classic network that we use for mobile phone, but it's other types of network like a LoRaWAN that have low energy consumption, but they can go deep into the ground, or they can be in areas that are kind of remote, and you can quickly build other types of network that can support access to these types of information sharing activities. So this whole layer of network is developing quite quick, and we see already quite a number of startups taking some important steps in building some new forms of networks. They work with telecom companies, and also we've got some of the major investments coming up in new 5G technology, for instance. On top of this, when you've got all these devices that are connected together, all the information coming from the big data, but also from all the sensors that are connected, then all that's got to be integrated to deliver at the end the right type of information, or the right type of customer experience, or the right service or business model. And here some companies are taking a key role in terms of acting as integrator. So for instance, when you think in terms of connected buildings, you've got already quite a number of companies who are acting as the company, the architect of all the devices that connect together within a building. And at the same time, what we see happening these days is platform. It's a little bit like the image of your Google, your Android marketplace. and there will be some B2B marketplace, B2B platform where you will have multiple services available, where everything will be able to connect together, and you'll be able to use, service and applications and algorithm and to connect all that together in order to build the right type of um services, information that's going to be useful for the development of your company. And on the top of this, that's where you've got all these application service business model that are transforming things. So it's it's a multi-layer type of architecture that we've got for the Internet of Things. And whenever you read some article on the topic, when you might have people talking more about the network aspect, the platform aspect, the integration aspects, or the application, the services, the business model. But in fact, it's all these things together, and they're integrated. They've got to work all together. And we'll be coming back on this point. So yes, I think this is telling us that we will be seeing some tectonic changes across industries. Why? Because today we've got companies, and what we've built from a purchasing standpoint over the past years is this kind of supply chain where we go to a service aggregator. Let's take the simple example of a travel agent who's aggregating services from different airlines and other modes of transportation, but other information provider, and aggregate that into something for your company. And we're also going to system and technology integrator. We go to companies, we can put together different components, and this become part of our equipments, of what we offer to the final customer. And they've been building parts together. And sometimes, of course, we've got this triadic relationship where service companies end up interacting with some of the technology companies that work with us. But mainly, we've got this architecture where we've structured our value chain. So some people aggregate some service, and some people aggregate the technology and the systems. And on the other side, all this IoT architecture is not going to be a third part of it. Everything is going to be merging. And there will be, some of the hardware, sensors, actuators, devices that will be placed on all the elements that support the development of the service. That all the elements that support the technology and the components and the parts, and all that will be connected through a network. And some companies will try to play a key role in terms of being a platform and integrator, and others will be looking at developing application services and new business models. So this is not just going to be an addition of these two worlds. It's going to be a merger. It's going to be, some form of a evolutionary process of combining different elements together from these, 3 dimensions, leading to business model innovation, transforming what you offer. Won't offer anymore some parts, but offering like much broader types of solutions to the market. And behind that, there will also be quite a lot of battle of standards around. So I think we need to really see the world as at the start of a major tectonic change. All these devices, all these networks are going to be everywhere. They're going to be part of everything we do, all of our supply chain, all of our value chain. And this will transform the strategy of companies, how they try to differentiate, how they try to capture a share of the profit in the end. And everybody's going to try to be innovating in interesting ways so they can capture this share of the profit. Feel free to ask any question as we go. I hope this is all clear, and you kind of sense that this is a major transformation coming ahead. If you think of the automotive industry, what's very interesting, for some time we've been talking, this is the classic automotive industry, in competition with the Google car or the Apple car or whatever. But no, the story is very different. And this will be a massive aggregation of a lot of the IoT elements within the broader automotive value chains, and players from both sides will take a key share of the profit, and will take a key share of the activities of this kind of new ecosystem that will emerge over the coming years. There will be some winners, there will be some losers, but the winners will be here because they will have been collaborating with the important players that will be on the forefront of the transformation. And we could take other industries and really put together some similar picture. Very simple case that I felt like sharing with you was this ice cream cabinet. I mean, it's really basic. It's an ice cream cabinet at the start. So this is where, this is in a shop, you open it, you take your ice cream, you go and pay. So it's consuming energy, but it's keeping your ice cream cold. That was the function of that thing. And Unilever, 3 years ago, started to put some requests for innovation outside, saying they're ready to work with some startups in order to look how this could be, transformed into something a bit more developed in terms of being able to interact with the users. And basically, they've been working with a startup and an edge agency. They've been putting together all new systems supported by a network, and some experiments have been going on over the past summer, and now there's further deployment on this, so people can can directly interact through their mobile phone with the ice cream cabinet, and also they can invite friends to come and share an ice cream with them whenever they're close to some of these machines. So what we see here is it's not just it's not a big IoT project. It's a rather simple application in terms of the function you get out of it. But you need to bring a network, you need to bring mobile apps, you need to generate data, use some data, make something with the data. This helps create some social interactions, create a new customer experience. This is kind of a disruptive idea because that's changing the positioning of the player in the industry. It brings together some startup with big companies and aid agency, media agency, and instead of having your ice cream cabinet being located at the retail place and you having no interaction with the final user at the point of sales, then suddenly you've got direct access to the user, you've got some information, you capture it, real-time information on who is where and accessing what. So this looks like something simple, but behind it there's a lot of elements in terms of putting it together, and then a lot of elements in terms of impact across the industry architecture that we just need to see here. And what we need to see as the Internet of Things is much broader transformation from that nature all across the value chain, from the extraction of raw materials to the final service and algorithm that will be part of our day-to-day life as consumers and people living in cities or other places. So this was really to to help picture a little bit what's at stake here. Feel free to ask some question anytime, but I thought we could go through a survey in terms of trying to get your input and get your views into this discussion. So this will be appearing on your device. Okay, so you should now have on your screen the possibility of providing some of these, some of the your view on how the Internet of Things will impact your company, going from no impact, low impact, some impact to very high impact. Okay, there's a bit more coming, Great. So now I'm gonna close the vote, and then we'll be able to, we'll be able to see the outcome. I'm gonna share the result with all of you, and here the key information is that uh, a majority of you really see that as being a very high impact. So now let's try to look in terms of, the impact from a purchasing standpoint. If this is impacting your industry, what do you think about the, impact on how we buy in your company, or how you buy in your company? I'll take the opportunity of, looking at you, providing some of the input and having my drink at the same time. Great. Now I can see some more coming. Okay, see some more coming. Great. So I'm gonna now close the vote and share. And I think what's interesting, it's, if you said there was a high impact on your company, there's even more high impact in terms of how you buy. And I think that's right, because, if we look back to the electronics and how electronics came to impact our industries, this came really very much through the R&D activities. So it's inside the company that electronics uh, components were developed, and they're used and then integrated in product and activities. But what we see with the Internet of Things is it's really coming from outside. So this will be having some very clear requirements for the purchasing function to be on the forefront of, bringing this innovation, bringing these new ways of doing things together, and integrating that into our processes, our ways of working. So, great to see that you share the view that this will be having some impact or some high impact on, how you do some purchasing in your activities, so in your company. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to the presentation now. So let's move to the next session, in terms of, trying to understand what will be the impact for the purchasing activities. So maybe, as I've called that the IoT Russian Doll, just to help you understand a little bit, the structure of the transformation. So the industry will be transformed with new players, digitalization, this review of the architectures of the industry and systems we work with, more sensors, actuators, infrastructure, clouds, and all these analytics and services. Um, Facing this, company will need to, develop some new business model, reposition themselves, decide how they compete in the future, considering all these industry transformation, and that will drive them to build some new forms of horizontal and vertical collaboration within the company and outside of the company. And, this transformation in terms of collaboration coming up here will have some major impact in terms of purchasing. So very often what we talk a lot about these days is, the impact in terms of digitalization, but that's only one tiny dimension. It's only about how do we use, all the outcome from the Internet of Things, all the outcome from the big data, in terms of, making our ways of working more effective and efficient. But for me, the much broader impact here is really coming from, going out and bringing all the elements of the Internet of Things together, so we can integrate them into our processes, into our business models, into some of the new revenue streams we're going to build for the company. So it's not just our own purchasing process that will be digitalized. It's our contribution to transform our companies that will, be the big opportunity here. They will be demanding because we'll be moving from the current situation of purchasing to a new situation, today, tomorrow type of picture. So today, we're fighting for getting some early involvement in projects, but in order to be able to support the companies in the future with the development of the Internet of Things, digitalization, we'll have to be gaining early involvement in some of the strategic exploration, really foreseeing some of the plans, experiments the companies want to put together for the future, building on the Internet of Things. Today, we tend to be specialized. We tend to be specialized as, procurement professional. We buy parts, we buy service, we buy, equipments, capex. So we've got this kind of silos, and we kind of segment in tiny elements so we can, do a best possible work in terms of standardizing and understanding the market. But tomorrow, we will be buying full solutions. It's no more like someone's buying the equipment, someone's buying maintenance services of different kind, and someone buying the information system. Tomorrow, if you want to have a smart factory, well, you'll have to, look at the full picture, whether it's coming from one player or whether it's already the aggregation of a few players. You will have to be buying solutions, broader solutions. And in some circumstances, you'll have to go back to the building block of the solution. And in other ones, you'll have to, be able to gain access to, the full solution from the start, a turnkey type of solution. So this will really drive some change in the way we do some of the purchasing and our ability to change, from tiny segments to much broader types of solution that we will be purchasing. Today, we're still kind of in this mode of, is someone going to give me the specification? Provide me the specification and I'll go and buy it for you. And, with this transformation here, what we'll need is to anticipate the needs. And we won't be able to wait for a full list of specification to come to us. We'll have to go and understand the roadmap of the business and understand the needs, the opportunities, that are part of the future development of the company. So it's really a change of mindset, stopping being in a, hey, give me the list of what you need, I'll go and get it, to, I want to understand what's going to make a difference for you. I'm going to listen, I'm going to elicit what's important for you so I can then anticipate, in my sourcing activities, what's going to be of use to you. We're typically still going for most of our purchasing work to the top X suppliers because industries are narrowly defined. We know the top 3 players and we know how to play with the top 3 players. If we want, someone to do something a bit special, we go to the number 2, number 3 of the industries, and that's fine. And our market analysis are very much about understanding how the top few players are competing with each other, so we can, get the best cost, best price, or we get, some additional service or innovation out of them. And with this kind of merging of, different activities with the Internet of Things, we need to think in terms of ecosystems, how we can orchestrate the contribution of multiple players in order to bring the solution that we've just discussed before, that will be responding to the needs that we've just anticipated, as mentioned before. So this will be transformation from thinking in terms of supply market, top few suppliers, into a broader picture in terms of ecosystem thinking, building collaboration with both a startup and a big company and making that work, which is not a given. So we'll be moving from internal cross-functional teams to much more of cross-company innovation teams, ensuring that we can help with the facilitation of, the ad agency and the startup in order to, put together the new, ice cream cabinet is a simple example of this, but there will be more. If you go and ask, someone who's in charge of procurement in a city and say who's going to be putting together the smart city, well, the person say it's going to have to be some of the suppliers that are, going to be, building collaboration across and having some innovation team that will be bringing everybody from the different side together with us in order to, think about the city of the future and make it happen. So we're very much into a process today of buying stuff or buying services. And here this will also mean that there will be a lot of new stuff, new knowledge coming from outside. So there will be a lot of implication in terms of how we operate. And in some cases, this will have some major implication on, the number of people working on some of our operation and things like this, because it will bring a lot of efficiency opportunities. So the role will also be to accompany the change and to understand, how quickly we can drive some of this change across, and when we need to accelerate, and when we need to, just to have a very structured change management process that can help to make things efficient. So we'll be moving from purely a buying role to a change management role in order to, and not individually, but in teams, but we'll need to get new sensitivity in terms of making this work thing. In terms of, skills, well, today, we've still very much focused on a process, and tomorrow we'll have to build, on the analytics and relationship in a much stronger ways. The impact of the Internet of Things is not going to be brought to life through competition. It's going to be brought to life through, looking at data from multiple angles and, creating the right relationship across. And we'll need more of these skills together. Today, I still see a lot of the purchasing strategies as an action plan of 9 months, an action plan of 18 months. And, I think more and more it will be experimentation. Let's on the pilot phase, trying with some business partners, let's experiment with this. Let's work with a startup and a big company and see what this is bringing to us. In another areas, we'll be building scenarios. Dear business partner, if you want to move fast in that direction, it is what would the footprint in terms of the suppliers would look like, and it is how we would make it happen. If you don't want to move fast and you want to build more in this type of a strategy, then this is how we would do things. So there will be much more of what if scenarios. We discussed that in a past webinar and how to do this, but I think we'll have to really totally rethink. I'm going to be maybe a bit so provocative, but we just want to do too much strategizing as big action plans, and we'll have to do much more of experimentation, much more of getting things done, and strategy will be much more of here is a set of options. Tell me which one you want me to go after. So I think there's a lot of new practice to be brought to the forefront of our activities here. We're not a natural profession, for supporting that change, and this will be a change of culture. Typically, purchasing is part of the pragmatist, is part of the people who love to be prudent. They stay in a reasonable type of mode, and they have a very strong focus on financial and budget, and pushing for slow, steady progress. And sometimes they find, people who want to come here and transform everything as being kind of dangerous. And that has been part of our role because simply of, the focus on risk management, because of the focus on the cost aspects. But, we'll need to get a little bit of the, the DNA of the visionaries, becoming a bit more adventurous, a bit more, thinking big, having more ambition. Wanted to be among the first to experiment with some new ideas and changing gear in some occasions. So, I'm not saying that we will be moving as, the leaders of the transformation and the innovation creative people on all the forefront, but we'll need to get a bit more of that in our ways of working. We'll need to, be part of this transformation in a much more stronger ways in the future. We need to become a bit more visionaries and experimenters and a bit less pragmatist, even though we still have to get things done and, you know, do the whole stuff in the right way, because it's going to still be needed. This will call for new skills. I've been talking a lot about this requirement to anticipate the needs, managing our internal and external communities, being a broker of information, bringing the big picture together, being able to engage with new players, talking to customers, and sometime, you know, getting closer to some of the startups that will be supporting the development of the Internet of Things. Participating to this, you know, transformation of companies in terms of, you know, supporting the development of the open innovation culture, allowing people from inside and people from outside to work together, leading teams, not just within the company but across companies, facilitating change. It doesn't mean that we, you know, take decisions on every dimensions, but that we make things easier for decisions to be taken from both sides and multiple sides together, and easing the change across. And we need to be part of this architecturing of ecosystems and solutions, thinking broader, you know, in terms of impact on the business, on environment, on society, not just looking at, you know, the next, you know, big three suppliers, but at the full ecosystem behind, and how this can be reassembled to bring value for, you know, business, environment, and society. We tend to focus a lot on intellectual property, but we will need to move into seeing data as being much more of a strategic asset, as being more important, and not just in a defensive way, but also in a, you know, trying to build new ways of doing things, and recognizing some patterns. There will be a lot of need to do some benchmarking, looking at other industries, what are they doing, and oh, okay, they've started to develop in their way, so hey, probably, you know, we could try and have a go at bringing some of their solutions and adapting them to our own world. So recognizing patterns not just within our industry but across industries, and, you know, spending some time from time to time a bit more as a work in terms of analyst, of working with analysts to, you know, build the scenarios of the future. So we have the process skills today, but we need to grow some of these skills in terms of anticipating the needs and architecturing solutions. We need to further develop, and it's not going to be about, you know, inventing a new toolbox, but borrowing toolbox from different areas, from innovation, from alliance management, from you know, other parts of you know, the business, and then, you know, helping implement these across different situations. So looking at, you know, this broad set of change, I thought we could be, you know, doing another, you know, friendly poll just to keep you engaged. You know, feel free to ask questions. I'm very happy to, you know, have a lively exchange at some point. I would be just to get a sense of, I've picked some of the elements I've described before, and where will you need to progress the most. So what I would suggest is that you pick, you know, 3 of the dimensions, and where do you think that, you know, you will be needing to progress the most in terms of supporting the transformation that we will see coming in the next years from supported by the IoT. It keeps going. It's really good. Really interesting to see the bars progressing. I see people changing their views, taking one out, adding one. I don't see individual answers. I just see the overall picture, but some of the bars I'm moving up, moving in. Okay, still some few changes. Okay. So I'm gonna share the result with you. So the winner is facilitate cross-company collaboration. You know, I think that's already something we've started to do, but we will need to do it more early stages, and sometime we will have to bring more players, on board. We're very good at facilitating some, some of the negotiation type of meeting, but we'll need to build on our soft skills in order to, facilitate more like innovation days and some of the co-innovation projects, and working in some startup mode in terms of, developing prototypes and quickly refining some solutions. Anticipating needs of stakeholders and customers. Very interesting to see that. Moving away from simply waiting from, tell me, give me your shopping list, to, understanding problems, understanding the true customer needs and the long-term aspiration of the business. That's really interesting. And we all aspire to that in many ways, which probably explain why, we saw less, on gaining strategic, gaining involvement in strategic exploration. And the number one is thinking in ecosystem. This is more on the supply market side, trying to understand which player are going to be essential in terms of going further. Really interesting input from all of you. Really like that. It's really bringing to life some of the current questions we have in terms of where we should be focusing some of the development. And for instance, anticipating of stakeholders. I think we need to move into adopting some of the design thinking practice in order to ask the right questions and really elicit the pain point that can help us bring some true innovation to the business. Okay, great. So I'm gonna go back to the presentation, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take you through quickly a number of case studies. Some of them are rather kind of a simple Internet of Things cases. Some of them are much more complex, but they're really here to help picture in a bit more detail what's changing. So we'll have a case about a utility company, water business. We'll have a case about a company who's producing and selling cheese. We'll have a case about a beverage company. We have a case on Schneider Electric, which is looking at the smart grids and all the infrastructure for electricity. We've got an automotive case with the Peugeot group. I have a few words about the oil. Fujitsu, I won't go in depth. You can read in the document that I've presented on the observatory an interview of people in Fujitsu from a supplier perspective, what they saw as being the challenge, and really the message was like the business case. The first one is about continuous improvement, but really if you think about putting sensors and actuators everywhere, and after you get some of the data, then there's many more things you can be doing with it in terms of new business model services, of some radical rethink of your value chain. So I won't come back on this one, but I'll go through the other one. For each of them, I'll be saying a few words in terms of where does it focus on, how they got to understand the needs, how they've been searching for partners, how they've been managing the integration of all the Internet of Things activities, what type of organization mode they've been using, what type of ways of collaborating they've implemented, and what type of impact in terms of result they got. So the case of Suez was simply a case of some of the smart devices being able to collect information about your consumption of water directly at home, and here. This was really about putting a new layer of sensors, information management, and new services on top of the core business. And this is really the core business of a water utility company. They've used the customer roadmap. It was customers who were asking them to come up with some of the smart solutions for water meters, and in terms of finding some suppliers, they looked on the market who was the most advanced in terms of the meters, and they looked for some companies who could bring the data management together. So it was a rather classic way of looking at the market here. How they did the integration of the solution, they didn't do an internal development. What they decided is to build a collaboration between the three companies: the water company, the utility company, the smart meter company, and the data management company, and has been going on now for more than 10 years. This collaboration. They've not built a joint venture, and they've simply been, working together as a collaborative project in terms of integrating the new technology and coming up with new generations of technology in very much an alliance mode, and leading to both, multidimensional innovation, because it wasn't just about being more efficient in the processes, but it was also about, um, avoiding to waste some water by reducing leakages. It is also about offering new services to the local authorities, so they can offer, for instance, some tariff to social tariff, to people who have very low income. So it's really a multidimensional type of innovation, impact on many aspects, and interesting case studies that actually been publishing in the European Business Review some time ago. So if you're interested, let us know. We can, we can share with you the article. The second case study is rather simple, very practical. It's a factory case studies, and it's really an efficiency one. You've got a lot of elements in a factory, like MRO and consumables, stuff you put in your hair, protection devices, gloves, things like that. So instead of having people in charge of distributing these, the company, they've been looking at a supplier who would be able to operate a vending machine, and every operator comes in and puts a card and get access to the glove or to the earplug, and immediately the machine connects back to the supplier in terms of ensuring replenishment is taking place. It was about outsourcing the integration of the activities, telling a supplier, hey, just try to make sure you can bring everything together, and then, getting some results in terms of cost and efficiency. I got a question, but from Alexandra. Yeah, we can share with you the article, the case study on the water industry, the utility. So this one is a rather simple case, of bringing of impacting a process, making it more efficient, supporting the development of a supplier to be able to integrate, all what we need from them. Let me move to the next case. So this is a oil case. It's about the operational activities for oil exploration. This is really core business of oil companies. And what was looked at here is how to, gain some efficiency. What was interesting is it's not going to be coming simply from working with the top service providers, but also probably bringing some startups, smaller companies into the game in terms of, digitalizing some of these activities that are taking place on oil fields, for instance. And it's not just simply a collaboration with one player, but a multiplayer collaboration with the aim of, getting this very high level of efficiency. Next one is the China Electric case, where we looked at multiple dimensions of their activities. You can find the interview into the observatory report that I've mentioned at the start. And it's really connected to their core business. It's really supporting them developing some new revenue streams, new solutions, new business model. It's sometimes part of their customer needs, it's part of their product roadmap, or it's really some new ideas popping up for creating totally blue ocean areas where new services that didn't exist before. What's interesting is sometimes they say, well, we've got to bring back the development internally and make integration by ourselves. Huh? So, we tend to see sometimes that IoT is just about finding solution outside, but in some occasion, it's a challenge to integrate everything. So you need to re-verticalize the activities. And in other cases, they say, well, we would be outsourcing the full development of the solution or the full access to the solution to the market, and then, integrating that into our processes. So very wide ways of, ensuring that everything in terms of devices, in terms of hardware, in terms of software gets integrated at the end. So it's sometimes about, ensuring that some people have a great understanding of some of the new technology from outside, working as a competence center, because internally they don't have all the skills needed to make this work, but also sometimes being some alliances with some of the suppliers, or operating in startup teams, very quick transformation, coming up with new prototypes very quickly in order to explore new ways of doing stuff. So different modes of organization are needed, and where support from purchasing was essential in the company. And collaboration, very much about very early involvement with suppliers, but also building some strong alliance. And in terms of result, it's not just impacting costs, but multidimensional in terms of revenues, in terms of new product, new activities, in terms of environmental performance. So really some multidimensional type of impact. The last case study I wanted to share with you is one of my executive MBA students. She was working for Peugeot in China. Very interesting case, because the in China there is byte firewall. So basically for the telematics that's in a car, you can't use the Google platform or the Apple platform in order to have access to like the Android of your car or the iOS of your car. So what happened is Peugeot and Dongfeng, a Chinese manufacturer, have becoming together and putting together their own platform. But after, a lot of internet companies and startups were coming and say, hey, we want to integrate our apps and services into your platform. And within the organization, they ask ourselves, so where should that be done? And it was interesting to see that this ended up being purchasing and R&D purchasing that was involved in this. She later moved into managing the startup accelerator for the company. So working on a regular basis with batch of startups that will be coming within the premises of Peugeot, and being able to further develop and integrate some of their work, some of their activities within this platform. So here again, we see collaboration with some startup, and we see some differentiation, really multi-dimensional impact, not just some cost aspects. In fact, it's nothing to do with cost. It's about offering new services to the people using the car. So you see the diversity of situation and the diversity of impact of Internet of Things through those 6 cases. I'm gonna skip this one and really move to the impact in terms of change. So what we see from the case study, sometimes we can be sticking to the knitting, the classical way of doing things, but also in other situations we are moving into exploring some new frontiers. So sometimes, yes, we just want to focus on a certain category, like the consumables, the MRO, and using the vending machine in order to make things more efficient. But what we've seen in other case studies, situation where there was a total transformation of the business process, or also like the water case, the utility case, really some innovation that relates to the core business, and additional revenue streams in some activities by developing new ways of bringing services to the user. So in terms of results, this translates into sometimes the classic cost efficiency to the multidimensional innovation. And going through performance differentiation. So we have a much broader set of opportunities in terms of impacting, the results of the company through projects, where IoT is involved. In terms of the needs, yes, we can start the simple case from, looking at how we can do things in more efficient ways. We might be able to look at what are the pain points of the business, and in some cases, it's just like a very, innovative idea that's coming up, and we've got a startup coming up with a social vending machine, and we've got like a beverage company, with like, hey, we should be positioning ourselves with new ways of distributing our drinks in hospitals and gyms and schools and places like that. And suddenly, a new revenue stream, a blue ocean area is popping up, something totally different that can really help to make a difference on the market. Sometimes, we just look at the market, what's here. We go to our classic suppliers, or we go to our preferred supplier and help that supplier, bring some of the Internet of Things benefits. So if you think logistics and you don't have super advanced needs, probably, you go to a classic player, and, you'll be able to understand which one are, pioneering these new solutions, and you can just work with them. And in other occasion, you really need to go and do a full ecosystem analysis, understanding behind the classic players, who's coming in, who is going to collaborate with whom is going to compete with whom in the future. Are there any startups that can have an impact? So, having a much broader type of understanding of what's going to drive change across the ecosystem, and who should be part of innovation in the future. And probably at the extreme, with the digitalization of our process, we'll be able in a few years to, put together some artificial intelligence and ecosystem tools, and building networks of what industries could look like in the future. We talked a little, we didn't talk too much about the aspects of integration, but maybe sometime it will be simply your supplier that will integrate everything for you. And in other occasion, what we'll have is this situation where we need to manage, a few companies working together to integrate all the solutions with the hardware, the software, and everything being packaged as a fully functionable type of solution. And in some cases, very unusual these days, but going back to vertical integration, because the bringing things together can be challenging sometimes between software and hardware, and therefore maybe you'll take back ownership from a company perspective, and then purchasing will step back and go back to bringing some of the basic components which we haven't been sourcing for some time, and that's also an interesting case. We'll talk about impact of organization. In terms of collaboration, this means, more, early involvement if we stick to the classic ways. Moving into collaboration with startup, really building, core business collaboration, working on, the core equipment, the core business infrastructure, the core business process of the company by bringing new layers and innovating very, very close to the core business of your company, not just something that's a little bit peripheral, and this challenge of bringing some of this multiplayer collaboration. In terms of impact on organization, the Internet of Things is really interesting because this is forcing us to think in different modes. And what's essential here is to look at the speed of change. So speed of change in the demand side, speed of change in terms of the supply side. And we will still be doing some of the old stuff, doing some tactical buying, doing some category management. But in order to bring the IoT, in some cases, we'll have to building some strong alliances. We need to get closer, as you said in the poll, to the business partner and really understanding their future needs, what's going to make a difference for tomorrow. In some other occasion, we will be the one that will be understand what technology are available, what solutions are available, and inside the company, there'll be a limited knowledge about this. So as the supply market will change, as the ecosystem will change fast, part of our role will be to act as a competence center, informing people and advising them on what solution we can be bringing. And in some cases, like when you want to put some digital stuff like the Mars ice cream cabinet, we'll be working in startup mode. So we'll be working in a way that very quickly, testing some solutions, doing some prototype, and supporting this, very rapid loops of procurement and collaboration between suppliers and our companies. So we'll have new organizational models. We have got more diversity that will depend on the speed of change on both sides. So I thought I'll do. I would be doing a quick survey on this one. So the first one is really about understanding in what mode you usually operate. So if you can choose 3 modes that you typically use. Very interesting. Still some answers coming in. Good, good, good. So I think I can close the vote and share. So, number one, category management mode. Not so surprised by that because that's been a strong focus in terms of, consolidating needs, standardizing the what's coming from outside. But very interested to see that, some of you, 30%, are already working extensively in collaboration alliance mode and 12% in startup mode. Well, I'd really be interested to, keep in contact with, some of you, especially on the startup mode, the competence center mode, because, I'd like to have further exchange and maybe some one-to-one discussion. So don't hesitate to, drop your name to Silmara, and I'll give you a phone call to have some suggestion and maybe writing a short case on your experience with that. So now let's look at where the future. So we looked at the current situation. So what mode should be further developed in your company? So again, like choose 3, just to see if, the past and the future will be looking. Really interesting. Really good. Okay, I think I've got now stability in the votes. Okay, so I'll be sharing with you and the outcome, and what we see here is really in the leading position, the collaboration and alliance mode. And I think this is really echoing my perception of the transformation of the industry and the transformation of the purchasing function. It's not just competition that will merge the world of Internet of Things with our traditional value chain. It will be through some collaboration and alliance mode. And interesting to see that competence center and startup are also very strong. And still the business partnering and category management, we should know how to do it. Tactical mode, we should know how to do it already. It doesn't mean it will disappear. We still need to do some of it, but it's less important to develop in our companies. I really like the feedback and the picture of the transformation. I think it's really telling us a lot in terms of where things need to evolve in the future. Really enjoy that. Some other suggestion on how to get things done. I think that all of us, we will need to revisit on a regular basis some of the fundamentals. We will need to look at our segmentations on a more regular basis, probably looking at broader segment of activities and asking some very basic question in terms of what's our purchasing business model. So for this broader segment, taking the time to quickly, define who are our internal partners and customers, how we manage relationship with them, what is it that we really bring to them in terms of value proposition, what process and systems we need to be efficient to make that, value proposition a satisfying one, an outstanding one, who are existing suppliers, who could be into the ecosystems we're looking at, how do we manage relationship with this supplier and ecosystem. So, I really see people having this kind of board together with, the your purchasing business model, and being able to, with post-its, to continuously, reinvent, how they deliver value to their business by clearly identifying their value proposition, who is the business partners here, and who are the ecosystem behind, and how this is going to have some impact in terms of revenue and cost, and being able to loop and transform our value proposition as we progress and build stronger internal and external relationship. And some of these basic questions, we need to look at them not just independently of each other, but as an holistic perspective that can help us to go forward. Another rather practical element, I think, I talked a little bit about the IoT purchasing toolbox. What we've developed here is really some very simple kind of gamified type of frameworks, and we'll be sharing quite a lot of them during the ecosystem webinar. So the first point is not just to look at the past. Now, whenever we start with looking at the spend, we look at the past. So we need to look forwards. What are the trends that will impact things on the demand side? What are the trends that will impact things on the supply side, on the ecosystem, and what's going to happen in the future? Looking at solutions. What are the pain points? What are the future needs that our internal business partner and customers are looking for? And then what's the ecosystem? Who are the key players we work with today? Who are the players we could be working with tomorrow? Really mapping the ecosystem and starting to strategize across the ecosystem. And then from this, developing some scenarios. Well, if you want to address these types of solutions and these types of trends, well, therefore, we would be building this type of ecosystems and network of suppliers, and this is how we would make it happen. If you, prefer to go for another strategy, we could be, going in a different direction, and this is really what we'll be looking at in the next webinar on the ecosystem aspects. I think what will be important is, we won't be specialized in working in competence center mode, in alliance mode, in category management mode. We'll probably be able to operate in 2 or 3 modes, and it will be this ability to change, to move from one mode to another, depending on the situation. Preparing, working in category management, passing stuff to a tactical buyer, and then freeing some time in order to go into more of the alliance mode sometimes. So we will have to be agile in terms of moving from one box to another in terms of the model I've shared with you. And this will call for, some new forms of competencies. So, today we've got all these competencies about the supply market we'll look at, and we've got competencies in terms of the purchasing process. And, we've got like our specialist knowledge, and we've got this broader generalist knowledge that's a classic T-shape. But what we'll see is, adding more specialists. We'll have to understand better the software and the hardware, and still have this broad, generalist knowledge on the top, and sometimes have multiple dimension of competencies about, all the dimension of the internal development and external development, and have these, more different shapes in terms of competencies. So I think there's a lot of evolution in terms of how we'll see the human resource management evolving in terms of purchasing. If we get more diversity in our ways of working, we need to do more community management, because if we bring diversity, we need to be united. We need to share some basic understanding. We need to understand when is it, right to go from one mode to another, not compete internally, but, build on the strengths of everyone. So I think we will see more of activities to, create a community across purchasing function. And, moving to the final conclusion, I think that all the Internet of Things and the transformation we're seeing here will have some rather fundamental impact in terms of technology and systems. And here, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of people still saying that we need to digitalize our process because this is going to help us to, take out some very tactical activities and help us to free some time to move to more strategic. But I think this is just a focus on purchasing efficiencies. Well, we need to digitalize to bring value to the business. We need to digitalize to bring relevance, to be able to find and map the ecosystems. We need to digitalize to be able to work at the speed of the business. So I think it's much more about our efficiencies. It's really about, digitalizing for, bringing the change we've been describing before. And if it's just about, shifting from, very transactional to more strategic, no, I think that there's much more to be gained through the systems and the technology we're going to bring in. In terms of organization and process, I think the key challenge in the future is to move away from having one purchasing process and having multiple purchasing process, one way of organizing and having multiple modes of working inside and orchestrating the diversity internally. And in terms of management and people, it will be about situational leadership. When is it that I need to break the rules and work in totally different modes? We can't operate a classic qualification process with a startup. We need to do things differently. We can't, for some projects, we can go through some of the needs consolidation and massification type of activities. We need to have the business experiment. So we'll need to adopt this situational leadership depending of the context, being able to pick, different types of process that can really respond to what's specific in this situation. And we'll see people with new skills, with broader understanding of, the business transformation, on the technology, on the business model, and combining these with a broader business knowledge together in terms of helping their company not just to, buy for saving, but also buying for, differentiating, buying for innovating, buying for transforming their company, but also buying for transforming the broader industries. So I truly believe the Internet of Things is bringing a lot of opportunities to all of us. I really think we need to step back, rethink the way we work a little bit, adapt, not abandon the past, but build on the past, but bring new elements and move forward, because it's a great stuff coming for us. It's potential, it's interesting, it's full of exciting and creative opportunities. So let's go for it. And I hope you enjoyed, the presentation. Any final questions from any of you? You've been very quiet in this webinar. First time we've seen people so quiet. Question about hacking security. I think it's on the top of the agenda, and that's another area where we will need to be able to have some specialists, that will be a competence center and able to understand all the new solutions that can help to address issues in terms of security and in terms of protections. So I think this is indeed an area where we need to see risk, but we also need to see opportunity for us to understand the broader ecosystems of solution and bring them to the company, because this will be co-evolving in the coming years. And we've already heard about the issues of, of some of the virus and malware in some of the connected devices. But, well, solutions will rise, and we need to help our companies take the solutions. Do you think procurement as a function will exist in the future, given the technology advance and the lack of cross-functional collaboration? Very interesting, very interesting. I think that, we will see a number of things. So a lot of the activities will become much more systematic, digitalized, and we will have people operating shared service center where, I don't know if you will call that procurement, purchasing, sourcing, whatever, but, there will be some highly repetitive and routine activities performed by shared service center. At the same time, we'll see more people that will be embedded, integrated in the business activities. And in the middle, there'll be a smaller number of individuals. We will do more the, the classic category management and sometimes the alliance type of collaboration. So it will have a different shape. It will kind of be fully embedded in some parts. It will be somehow, outsourced and separated on some of the most routine type of activities. So it will be a diversity. It's not one procurement function. It will be different modes of doing procurement, and it will exist, but with a different shape. And Tatiana, thank you. Well, thank you for the webinar. Slides, yes, you will have access to the slides and the replay. So another question from Anne. Don't you think that artificial intelligence and this will reinforce EI in the function? What do you mean by EI? Emotional intelligence. Yes. Okay. I mean, reinforce. I think this will. That's really opening two very broad perspectives. But the more we will need to, be close to the internal business partner, understand suppliers who are coming from totally different, industries and sectors where we have limited knowledge, the more we will need this emotional intelligence. So after linking that to artificial intelligence and digitalization, that's another element. But definitely yes. I mean, what we see already is some people who have some role in companies where they don't interact with suppliers. They're here to be in this kind of a business partner mode and working with some players in an advisory mode and leading the change. And that's very much about these skills in terms of emotional intelligence. I would totally agree with this. Any other question? Yes, one on from Owen. I fully agree with the second part. We're making a lot of steps in that direction here. It's not just about training people in the classic procurement process that will be important in the future. It's indeed, when I do my innovation and entrepreneurship class, it's very interesting. People say, "Hey, you're training us to do marketing." And yes, we need to understand, what's driving transformation and change from a marketing point of view for the different business unit and the business partner we serve. And some people, we're using innovation tools, and yes, so we need to bring to procurement professional the marketing toolbox, the innovation toolbox, and some of the new toolbox that will be useful in order to have that broader impact on the organization. Excellent question, and really like to see this. Maybe if you have a last second, I'll just show you maybe a last slide. I mean, it's fascinating. I'm also sometimes an historian, and Adam Smith, 1776. When he stopped talking in the Wealth of Nations of the pin factory, he said, innovation is also coming from philosophers and men of speculation, whose trade is to observe everything and who, upon the outcome, are capable of combining the power of the most distant and dissimilar objects. So innovation is about bringing stuff from very distant areas, bringing things together. And I wanted to, end here with, this is the fourth industrial revolution, back to Adam Smith, who was telling us about the first one. Thanks a lot. Really enjoy being with you this morning. And, if you're working in startup mode, if you're working in competence center mode, just drop me a mail and, I'll be happy to have a quick discussion with you. We'll be sending the slides again. We'll be sending a number of reports and documents. So you've got a full picture. And I think people were also asking Silmara for the replay. So let's do that. And hopefully talk to you soon. Bye-bye.